First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Jimmy Failla is the new host on WIBX from noon until 3 p.m. If you check him out, he'll be on later on today. Before you hear him later on today, you'll hear him right now. He's on the line. Jimmy, good morning.
Yo, I got to tell you, man, you get a lot of credit, Keeler, for booking me the morning after I do the Greg Gutfeld show.
Mm-hmm.
Most people who've seen that show just assume I'm not going to be available till like 11 a.m. the next day at the earliest because it gets rowdy.
It does get so. Are you? You seem like you're okay though. You survived it. Well, you did well.
This is the thing, Keeler. If I showed up to work drunk, nobody would know the difference between that and my normal show. So that's the one. The one thing I get away with is no one would listen to it any differently. But no, it was a good hang. Steve Hilton was on. You know, he hosts Sunday night show on Fox News, The Next Revolution.
Yeah.
And Rob Long was on, who's the guy who produced Cheers. So he had a lot of, you'd imagine between the two of them, they had a lot to say after the show. And, your Uncle Jimmy might have got home a little bit later than usual, but I'm happy to be here. Let's go.
The fact that you're up and rolling right now after all of that, I can't even believe it. It's phenomenal.
Well, you did miss a term. It's not that I'm up, it's that I'm still up.
Okay.
But the nice thing about radio is no one can see the black eye or the face tattoo. So let's just throw the fast.
Well, let's be honest. We know your previous and at times current profession is that of a comedian. And listen, that world, you got to know how to stay up and never go to bed. It seems right.
It depends. You know what? It's funny is like on the way up. It really depends who you're opening for. So my favorite act of all time when I was a kid was Kevin Meaney. And I'm sure you remember Kevin Meaney from coming up, the big pants. That's not right. I love Kevin Meaney. Yeah. Well, the first time I opened for him in Atlanta, I promise you this, he did not go to bed for 72 hours. Wow. At no point did he go to bed. This is the craziest part about the late, great Kevin Meaney. God rest his soul, because I loved him. He was so funny.
Yeah.
Is on the tail end of a bender one night, he stood up at a Waffle House and started doing stand-up on a Waffle House table at 3 a.m. in Atlanta. So I'm in Atlanta, and Meaney's banging out his act. I don't care. He doesn't care. You know, that whole act. He's doing the dance and everything like that. Yeah. And he's murdering unsuspecting Waffle House patrons who are actually, to be honest with you, very amused by it. Because if you're at Waffle House at 3 a.m, usually there's a fist fight, somebody's getting shanked over the check. It's a mess. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they're getting a mostly peaceful stand-up routine, as they'd call it on CNN, they were pretty into it. But Meaney did like his full act. And in my head, knowing I needed to get home at some point, I had the presence of mind to pick up my phone and light him. Like it was, the comedian light you give to get off stage with 5 minutes to go.
That's funny.
And Meaney, being the consummate pro, he in whatever stupor he was in, of whatever form of inebriation he had taken himself into, he saw the light and instinctively recognized it and wrapped up his performance and got off stage, to his credit.
That is unbelievable.
Good night, everybody.
When my favorite is the comedian that doesn't pay attention to the light, and because they know better. But when you are as you say, the consummate professional, that light means someone is giving you the advice to wrap it up.
It's time to go.
Yep.
There's a room to turn over. There's another seat. There's another audience to seat. Yep. So the problem is, I feel like it's only 6 months, but someone needs to light this administration.
I mean, it might wake up Joe Biden, right? It might be, there's a light being shown in my eyes.
Get him off stage. No, I'm ready to get him off stage. Put on the red bulb and just light him and get him out of here.
Come on, man. I can't see.
Come on, man.
I'm blinded.
So, do you, I feel like every time I have you on, I ask the same stupid question. Do you think this infrastructure thing is going to happen? It's like the question we ask week after week after week. The answer is always the same. I don't think so. When are we going to stop asking the question?
Well, when they hit that critical impasse of do or don't. They've kind of, to your defense, carried it along to the point that, they've been talking about infrastructure and printing money to support these policies for so long that we've now gotten, gas, we've now gotten milk, we've now gotten every day-to-day good up by about 25 to 30% because of inflation. So I think it's actually... This discussion is going to stop where they either pass it or they stop talking about passing it because of the residual effect it's having on the economy. Yeah. Because Jerome Powell the Fed chair, said last week that it's here to stay. It's not a 2-week inflation. It's not a 2-month inflation. It's just the end result of, print and spend economics.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going away, man. I actually don't. And, everybody harps on the price of gas and how it affects, people like me who used to drive a cab my whole life and, long-haul truckers. But no one even talks about the people on my staff who sniff gas. It's like, what about them?
It's costing them even more.
It's an expensive habit.
Though, what is interesting about the economy and the gas prices is the reality is when gas prices were low, it was great for you and I. We were like happy the gas prices were low. But the reality is it was putting U.S. Oil companies out of business. It was terrible for the industry, the U.S. industry. It was.
They have a bottom line they have to get, but were their oil companies shutting down? They're still trying to build pipelines all across the country.
I'm telling you, there were oil companies, U.S. oil companies shutting down, refineries shutting down because they couldn't afford to do business.
Yes, it was cheaper to store it than produce it at one point. Now, understand how we got to where we got. Last year, obviously, you know this, but last year the demand was low because no one was going anywhere at the height of the pandemic. But oil had been low across the board during the Trump administration because we became energy independent.
Right.
Killing pipelines and stuff of the like that Biden is doing now is going to make us an importer instead of an exporter of oil again, a net importer, which will in fact drive the price back up. That'll be the end result of this. And the thing is, everyone listening should know this too. Even at the bottom of gas prices, when, as you said, they were losing money, there are certain things in life you don't want too cheap. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I was once driving a woman in a taxi who offered to take out the fare in trade. She's like, all right, well, you can get in the back with me. The fare dealer was $21. And I'm like, if she's doing this for $21, like that makes me think the product, it's like nobody wants laser eye surgery for $50.
Yeah.
You walk in and you see the cross-eyed doctor and you're like, yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
And I think that's the concern with prices being too low. You want them right in the middle.
That's a very good point. There is a sweet spot where everybody gets to make money and it doesn't crush the end user. And that is your sweet spot. I was just reading something recently. It was some product out there that was, I don't know, some breakfast. I forget exactly what the product was. But when they first introduced the product, it was so cheap no one bought it because they thought it had no value. So they raised the price. Like they raised it by 100%. And all of a sudden it became one of the great products of the world. Because we're stupid.
It was the Paris Hilton sex tape.
It was. And that's exactly what it was.
I kid. Hey!
All right, you're on. What are you starting off with today? Do you have any idea?
Harris Faulkner is on today.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Show, and we're going to talk about Biden and Facebook. They're trying to blame Facebook basically for their own misinformation. I mean, you guys know. No, Facebook is not the reason people aren't taking the vaccine. Nobody changes their mind.
Oh, I know.
They read on Facebook. You post something they disagree with on Facebook, they call you a Nazi and unfriend you. There's no persuasion on Facebook.
Right. And I think Biden was trying to walk that back a little bit. But I don't know what that really means with Biden, to be honest.
We'll be clear. He's only trying to deny our internet access because they deny his. That's all that is.
Okay.
They don't want
1 hour a day, Joe.
Print,
he's being rationed. All right, good stuff, Jimmy. We'll be listening today at noon. Thank you so much for the time this morning. All right.
See you, Keeler.
Have a great day. Jimmy Failla up early despite a late night. Typical comedian. That is not typical. The comedians normally wouldn't be up until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He's up early.
He is.
Or as Jimmy says.
Oh, as Jimmy says, I never went to bed.
I never went to bed.